Hello everyone, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's newspaper, that is 27 September 2023, in the front page of the Hindu newspaper, there is an article on the judicial appointments and the delays with respect to the judicial appointments. So in this video, we will talk about how are the Supreme Court judges nominated, how are they selected, who appoints them, how are they removed, what is their age qualification to become a Supreme Court judge, and we'll be talking about two important things, that is National Judicial Appointment Committee NJAC, and what is this mechanism called as Collegium system that is there with respect to the Indian judiciary, okay, in India. See, before we start with the video, I would like to remind you to subscribe to the Legacy IAS Academy YouTube channel, not to miss out any update on any important current affairs video that we'll be making. Let's begin. Okay, judiciary and the pendency of cases. If you look at the entire Indian judiciary, 4 crore plus cases are pending in all our judicial system, and to be very specific, there are somewhere around 70,000 to 80,000 cases pending only with respect to the Supreme Court. Okay, so what is the reason for these pendency of the cases, and what is the number of vacancies that we have with respect to the High Court and the Supreme Court judges? So that will be the discussion for today's video. If you look at the context, why are we even discussing about this? The context that we have is about this particular data that's given in the Hindu newspaper today, and which says, if you look at the numbers here, again these numbers are not very important from the exam point of view, just you should be very much aware of these numbers and what is the vacancy or vacancies in both the High Court and also the Supreme Court. If you look at the High Court, out of the 25 High Courts that we have in India, the sanction strength is 1114, 1114 is sanctioned judges, and the number of judges that are actively present now is around 774, which means 1/3 of the vacancies, almost on an average, you can say 1/3 of the vacancies are there with respect to the High Courts in India. Okay, Supreme Court, if we talk about 34 is the sanction strength in the Supreme Court, okay, and the number of working strength is 32, and there are 2 vacancies. See, 2 vacancies, 3 vacancies, up to a single digit, it is fine. But if you look at here, 340 vacancies with respect to the High Court, okay, huge vacancies that are actually present. Here, pendency of the cases, if you look at how many cases are actually pending in High Court and the Supreme Court. See, we are not considering the lower courts. If you consider the lower courts, the number is more than 4 crore. If you look at High Court in India, 60,72,729 cases are pending with respect to all the High Courts in India. All these 25 High Courts included, the number of cases that are pending are 60,72,000, a very, very important data for your exam. If at all anywhere in GS2 you have a question on judiciary, you are not missing out on this particular data. 60 lakh cases pending in the entire Supreme High Court is a huge number. If you look at the Supreme Court, cases pending in the High Court for more than a year, okay, out of these 60 lakh cases that are present, how many cases are pending more than a year? Okay, if you look at 45 lakh 22,626 cases are pending more than 1 year. So if you look at the Supreme Court, the number of cases pending in the Supreme Court, okay, it is 80,591, and any time in the near future, these numbers are bound to increase and not reduce. Remember, these numbers will not reduce. These numbers are bound to increase. Okay, so what is the reason for these pendency of cases? Okay, how are the Supreme Court judges appointed? What are their qualifications? That will be the next part of the video. Composition and the strength of the Supreme Court. See, the Supreme Court originally, when it was created post independence, had 8 judges. Okay, but as of now, the sanction strength for the Supreme Court is 34 along with a CJR. Okay, earlier it was 8 judges with 1 Chief Justice and 7 Supreme Court judges. Now it is 34 with 1 Chief Justice and 33 Supreme Court judges. The Parliament has increased it over time. Now we have 34 judges in the Supreme Court. What are the qualification? What is the qualification and how are they appointed? According to Article 124 of the Constitution, very important Article 124 of the Constitution, a person can be appointed as a judge of the Supreme Court if he is having these 4 qualifications. If he meets these 4 qualifications, then he will be selected by a system called as Collegium system, and President appoints the judges of the Supreme Court. He should be a citizen of India, a very obvious one, and he must have served as a judge of the High Court, which means he should have a very good experience with respect to the Indian laws. He should have been served as a judge of the High Court for at least 5 years or 2 such courts in the succession. Correct? Now, alternatively, he must have been an advocate. If he is not a judge of the High Court, if he has not served as a judge of the High Court, then he should have been an advocate. He should have been an advocate in the High Court for at least 10 years. He should have been a judge of the High Court for 8 years. He should have been an advocate, which means a practicing lawyer in the High Court, for 10 years. Must be a distinguished jurist in the opinion of the President, because it is the President who appoints the Supreme Court judges. Who appoints them? A very important question to be answered. The judges of the Supreme Court, according to the Article 124 of the Constitution, again, are appointed by the President of India. They are appointed with the order of the appointment order given by the President of India. There is no prescribed minimum age qualification. For example, if you are for example, for the voting purpose, you have the age of 18. So after 18, you become eligible to vote. For example, the Lok Sabha members, you have the qualification of 25. For Raj Sabha, we have the qualification. Okay, for Gram Panchayat, we have the qualification. But for the Supreme Court judges, you don't have the age criteria. If at all they meet the criteria, if at all they meet the qualification of the age of 40, they can be appointed as the judges of the Supreme Court. Or 55, they can be appointed as the judges of the Supreme Court. There is no minimum age limit for a judge, but there is a maximum age limit. Maximum age limit is 65 years. Okay, a judge can remain in his position till the time he attains the age of 65 years. So what is this Collegium system? How are they actually selected? See, Collegium system came into existence after something called as third judge's case. Okay, after the third judge's case, there came an institution called as NJAC. After the third judge's case, in the year 1998, there was something called as NJAC, National Judicial Appointment Committee. Okay, this is also called as a Collegium system. Clear? So what is this Collegium system? See, India is a country which believes in the separation of powers between the parliament, between the legislature, executive and the judiciary. So when you talk about this separation of powers, in India, the judges are appointed by the judges, correct? Which means the Supreme Court judges, the 4 senior most Supreme Court judges, along with a Chief Justice of India, which means these 5 people, okay, keep scanning throughout the country and name few important jurists, name few important judges who meet all these qualifications and recommend their names to the President. Okay, and President gives out an order of appointment for these Supreme Court judges. And this system where judges appoint the judges and the role of legislature plus executive is completely absent in the process of the selection of the Supreme Court judges. It's a very important mechanism and a very important example that you can write for the transparency or to maintain the integrity of the Indian judiciary. Okay, this is a very important example of the separation of powers between legislature, executive and the judiciary. So this is what is called as Collegium system. Okay, so if you've liked the video, hit the like button and also subscribe to the Legacy IAS Academy YouTube channel. Have a nice day.